Hello, my name is Tracy Alden, owner of ArtResurrected. I am a designer and artist by trade, and I'm honored to be chosen by Jesse James Beads for their Rising Stars program. Since a young age, I have continued the family tradition of creating, sharing, and inspiring others with art, history, and nature. My ongoing interests in art, archaeology, world cultures, natural history, cooking, traveling, and animal conservation are all part of the inspiration for my art. Since the 1990s, my artwork has been published in books, magazines, newspapers, and displayed at many galleries and shows. I specialize in sculpture, illustration, jewelry, fabric, paper and graphic arts, mixed media, product design and development for arts and crafts companies, tutorials and classes for the craft and hobby industry, and product demonstration for art trade shows. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and YouTube as ArtResurrected, and at my website, artrez.com. That's ARTREZ.com. At all these locations, I share all kinds of projects, tutorials, and inspiration. Now let's get to today's project.
One of my favorite inspirations for jewelry is ancient cultures, and the Etruscan civilization is my focus for this project. An ancient culture that flourished in an area of the Mediterranean that is now known as Italy, predating the Roman civilization. Starting approximately around 900 BCE, or 2,921 years ago, until 27 BCE, when the Etruscan territory was assimilated into the newly established Roman Empire. Unlike women in Greek and Roman societies, Etruscan women had significantly more freedom. The Etruscans were also known for believing in the importance of equality given to women within their society. They could own land, businesses, and wear their wealth in the form of jewelry. Renowned in antiquity for its mineral resources and as a Mediterranean trading power, Etruscans were connoisseurs and creators of fine art, establishing trade with Egypt, Phoenicia, Ionia, and the Near East, eager to find metal resources, precious stones, ivory, wood, jewelry, bottles, and oil lamps. Greek pottery and stone scarabs from Egypt were especially sought after by the Etruscans. With access to these exotic materials, Etruscan engraving, metalsmithing, and other arts became prized goods in the Mediterranean. In the 19th century, when Etruscan archaeology sites were just starting to be found, the beautiful artistry discovered captured the imagination of the Victorian public, causing an Etruscan revival in jewelry and home decor. We will be doing the same today by using Jesse James Bead supplies.
To create an Etruscan-inspired jewelry set, I needed to go with key colors and shapes that Jesse James Beads had. And you'll notice here that I've got the bead strand in Tibetan Sunrise. I have a bead strand in Royal Red. I have a couple of beads from the Tibetan Boho bead bundle. I even have chain reaction with this wonderful deep ruby red, almost like a garnet tone with gold. I have 4mm beadalon jump rings in gold plate. I have a lobster claw, 7mm jump rings, French earring wires, 2-inch 21 gauge head pins and eye pins, also in gold plate. I have a couple of extra Jesse James beads. This is where you start going into your own private stash. Pick out whatever you've got that has a look that will kind of fit that Etruscan style that we're going for. So I have these beautiful, wonderful little gold beads with a great design of little hearts and little diamond shapes in them. Some wonderful red crystal drops, approximately maybe 6 to 7mm crystals, some beadalon memory wire. This is the small size. One of the wonderful tassels that you can get from Jesse James Beads. They come in all different colors. In this case, I'm going with turquoise. Which brings me on to my next topic. You notice there's a color palette that I'm using, or in particular, a color wheel. What is this? This is a simple color wheel that you can use whether you're painting, you're jewelry making. It's a wonderful thing to have in your collection of art supplies, simply so that you get an idea of basic color theory. Now, what is color theory? Color theory is a body of practical guidance to color mixing and visual effects for a specific color combination. Colors can affect our mood and our perception. In short, it's a visual combination of art and science that's used to decide what colors look good together. And in this case, what I'm going to be going for is red, blue, and yellow. Now, what is that? This is the primary colors. In traditional field of art, paint pigments and color theory, primary colors are the three pigment colors that cannot be mixed or formed by any other combination of other colors. All other colors come from these three hues. Now, why did I pick these colors, this triad? They are a high contrast color scheme, but not as extreme as complementary color combination. So where you would have here tones and shades that you're looking at them, complementary are two colors directly opposite one of each other. So in this case, you would have these two. That's just a bit too much in my mind, especially if we're trying to recreate classical art. And when we're recreating classical art, we're going to be using some basic colors here, but they're going to be rich, they're going to be intense. And they combine a bold, vibrant color palette that have more versatility. With this selection of Jesse James Bead supplies, I'm creating a color triad, and in this case, red, blue, yellow. And that color is what you see here. So you've got the deep reds, you've got blues, and then you've got the golden yellows. And this is where we're going to start with our piece. So we start separating all the beads that we need for this specific project. So first things first, this beautiful focal, which is going to be the focal for a necklace. There's our tassel right there. I am going to save these little wonderful round sort of drum-like beads for another project. So we'll put those to the side. Same thing goes with these wonderful little enameled beads. They're going to be used, just not for this project. We definitely want those little red round ones. Those sort of greeny, turquoisey teal. Want all the little stars, or snowflakes, whatever you'd like to call them as. For some people, you might not want to be dealing with too much snow thoughts, so we'll just call them stars. Oh, don't need that one. Okay, so now that we're starting off with that, I'll put those little guys there, putting those in there. Oh, those are for my earrings later. So anything for the earrings are actually going to be put to the side. So we got the memory wire, we got the drums, these are my little drops, red crystals, those are going to the side. I will need these for the necklace. I think I will probably end up using some of these little gold ones in the earrings, so we'll put those to the side. Same thing with the wire. Okay, and then we'll need those jump rings and lobster claw for this. Okay, and then now we're going to be separating this wonderful royal red one. Oh, this lost a bead there. I want to make sure you catch everything. That's a beautiful little silver one, but we're not going to be using that in today's project because we're going to stay with gold. Now, I love these, and they not only make great singular earring beads, they also make really good necklaces, but again, not for today. So we're just going to move the rest to here. Just beautiful rose cage bead can be used for a wonderful Valentine's Day project at some point in time. And we'll just move the rest out onto here. Okay, so now that we've got that started, and we're going to start having to open up our chain reaction. So let's first start with the wonderful Tibetan sun piece here. Of course, now it's going to be an Etruscan sun. So we just find which one we like as the front. To be perfectly honest, they're both beautiful, but sometimes there's a little bit of variance because they're all handmade. You just want to go ahead and make sure that you've got the front facing portion that you like. Oh, and what I'm going to do right now before I even put on that bead, get a pair of cheat nose pliers, open that up. Remember, side to side, to open up your jump rings or any of your links. You never want it to be distorted. And then would you go ahead, string it on there, like how the general placement is. And now we are going to get a pair of cutters, and we're going to trim to an approximate amount. Now, I'm not going to say the actual amount because each person likes loops to be a different width, and that's all up to you. So everyone makes loops different. Never feel like you have to make it exactly like somebody else. So I'm going to do it where you roll it back and you roll it forward. You can call it breaking the neck. I don't like calling it breaking the neck. You know what I'm going to call it? Doing yoga. So today we're doing yoga. There we go. Got our first link. And now we're going to get 2 chain nose pliers. Get our 7mm jump ring. Open it up, remember, side to side. Put on our focal. And close it on up. There's our first piece. I know, I talk to my beads, but hey, I think we all do sooner or later talk to our beads. That's not a bad thing. To me, it's only a concern if the beads talk back. Have an argument. Tell you they don't like that color combination. Okay. So I am going to decide which gold beads do I want to put up front. And right now I am thinking, instead of putting them just straight there, we can try a little bit of a color combination. So we've got our snowflakes, or stars, however you want to say it. I know right now not all of us want to be thinking about snow. And we get, let's see, there we go. Got that bead cap, and this is one of the rubberized coated glass beads. I really, really like them. They look like some ancient glass piece. And so we can do that one right there. Now, how many bead caps do we have of the gold? I think we've got 4. Nope, there's one of the silver ones. It's got to go to this side again. Okay, so since we have those ones in gold, we're going to go ahead and try it like that. Now, at first you're going to be like, what are you doing? This is looking a little weird. It's going to make sense shortly. dropping my head pins everywhere. So, what we can do now, we can choose to do another Tibet bead, say right there, or we can do, I'm thinking we're going to do another gold one. So we do a gold one. Now we have a nice round Tibet bead that could be put, I was originally thinking of a red crystal there, but or red bead there, but we could do it several different ways. And what's nice about this is because we're doing so many different lengths, it's easy enough to switch up a pattern, decide that you're going to work with a different design, aesthetic. It's really easy to switch up and change. So I do love those. Not sure if I'm going to use them in today's project, but I do love them. Okay, so we've got the gold ones here. That chain reaction is going to be used, so don't go hiding, chain reaction. All right, we're going to be definitely putting this gold Jesse James bead up a little bit there. Let's see. I do like how many of these beads, that the color intensity for me is one of my, I love them. If the color is rich and has a lot of depth, to me this is something that makes the piece all that much more special. So I think I'm going to change this up a little bit. I definitely like the snowflake right there being in that spot. So we're going to go ahead . Make sure I get all of the bead caps. And I think I'm going to do is put, my gold snowflakes are definitely going to be used as spacers. Though I'm noticing these wonderful swirls on this bead cap. Has a Mediterranean quality to it. So since I want those to be highlighted and seen, we're not going to put the snowflake on that side of the bead. So we'll make sure we get, oh, there's our cap. Sitting there looking for a cap that's right there. It's okay. Since these are going to be my first two links, let's take that snowflake right off. Bead cap, a raised coated crackle bead, oh, Mediterranean bead cap, yep. My teal beads trying to run away, and here is the other bead cap. Once again, we're going to be trimming small amount, but these don't get wasted. I actually save these little bits for inclusions in resin and other projects. So once again, see where your loop is at the bottom, trim. I'll be picking that up later. And that's just a quick roll. And if you've ever noticed, like sometimes, which I do this often. I'm like, did I put the wires? Are they lined up? And yeah, if you ever need to make sure the wires are lined up properly, just go ahead and you do that. So now we've got our first link. And since we want to make sure we're matching up all of our links, make sure this one is made the exact same way. Once again, bend back, roll forward. Let's do some yoga. And in the best of us, we'll sit there and go, did I do that loop right? And yes, I did. Okay, now I gotta make sure that everyone's lined up. Since we're not doing rosary links, we want to make sure that everyone's facing the right direction. So these are our first two segments. Then we are going to be working with these gold ones. The gold ones are just going to stand as their own. So we can go ahead and trim those now. Save that for my little pile. And in this case, I cut too much wire. So, well, I left too much wire, which is better to leave too much wire and have to trim it than to cut it too short. So, there we go. Move that piece elsewhere. And let's roll it forward a little bit neater. And take your time. Don't ever feel like you're rushed. You have to make it in a certain way, a certain time frame. You're doing this for you. And you have to be happy with the work. Yeah. There we go. I had to fix that so that it was bending the right way. Do that again on the next piece. Remember to trim that just so. And this hole is actually a little inset, so this is where we're actually curling it back and in to that little hole. Make sure it kind of nestles in there. Like a little bird in a nest. Again, if there's any time that you need to straighten the wires, make sure you go ahead and do that to your liking. And I might also note here that while I am using pre-made head pins like you have here, you can easily do this with 21 or 22 gauge German style wire and do rosary links if you would like. There's nothing stopping you. It's what you're comfortable with making. And in this case, I find making these little links pretty quick and easy and simple. So that's why I like working with them. I've got these little gold ones. Make sure I've got another eye pin for the other gold one. And you continue with as many segments as you would like. For many people, they'd like to have quite a few beads up front on the necklace and then have the chain reaction at the end. I'd like to have sort of a mixture of both to create the Etruscan style of jewelry. So for each person, it's one of those things that you do what you want to do and what you enjoy making. Never feel like you have to do it a certain way. You can find any number of books online and maybe in your own library, different things that you find yourself that is your inspiration. So bend back, bend forward, so I'm in frame. And now I think for my additional little pieces, I can do like little teal ones again. Oh, where did my caps go? There's my caps. So I could do red crystals here, duplicating the look of these here, or I could go with this here, adding a little bit more turquoise and gold, and some red. It's not completely devoid of red. I think I like the red more. Yeah, we're going to go with the red. And then this is where the gold snowflakes come into play. Yep, we're doing those right there. That's the one sad part of doing jewelry making, is having to do the cleanup afterwards. Because then you have so many beads, so many little things to pick up and move around. But then that's normally where I get my additional ideas for other future projects. Or there'll be like one bead that is just too pretty on its own to be, oops, I dropped. But there'll be sometimes I'll see one bead, and as soon as I see it, I know I have to make a pair of earrings or a bracelet out of it. It's just one of those things that it's just too pretty to be left alone and put away in a box and forgotten. Now, right now, I'm thinking for each side, we're going to do, we'll have our focal here. We'll have a gold here. And then be doing that. And I'm thinking I have a choice of going ahead and either using this one here, or I could use that one. And I think I'm going to use this one because I like that red and turquoise kind of combination, or red and teal, whatever you'd like to call it. I'm going to trim that. Okay, put that there. And so, sure, oh, I was just saying, I got to make sure I do all the sides equally. Okay, and now it's time for the chain reaction. So you just need to open up the split rings that all chain reaction is put on. And we're going to go with, I'm thinking, see how many links we need of chain reaction on each side before we go ahead and put the lobster claw on. Let's see. I am thinking probably a full section like that will work really nicely. So what we go ahead and do is we have to snip a tiny, tiny little jump ring there. And actually it's not really a true jump ring. Sometimes they're soldered, sometimes they're not. Either way, they're one of those little things that you just end up not really needing. But as long as you maintain the integrity of your links, otherwise you're good. So I'll do, since I want to make sure I'm matchy-matchy, go ahead, get the one here, and that is most of our necklace. So this is jump ring time. And this is when it starts coming together a lot quicker. So first it's like, what are you doing? Taking so much time. So first link attached to the main pendant. And always remember with your jump rings, you open side to side, not opening like that. So once again, we'll be doing it actually a lot. So side to side. Loop. Hook it on. So there's the first portion of our necklace. Links. The happier we are. Now, you can skip having jump rings. If you want to just have the links directly connected to each other, you could. The reason why a lot of times I do include jump rings is for movement. This necklace isn't going to get tangled up in itself. It's always going to be moving. So that's one of the elements why I want to have jump rings in a necklace, is just so that I have movement, and especially since I would like to do some different chain reaction elements on here that involve a nice dangle, I need those jump rings to be there for me. So that one's on the wrong spot there. And that's actually another reason why you want to have jump rings on different links, is a lot of times those links without those jump rings are going to be too tight up against each other. And sometimes if they're made out of ceramic or certain types of crystal, if they rub up against each other, they will chip. And we don't want that happening. We want our pieces to be as pretty as possible and last as long as possible. now that I've got that portion of my necklace done, I'm going to go ahead and attach the chain reaction. Though originally I was planning, best laid plans, on going ahead and putting that boho right there where that chain reaction link was, but I really do like the dark red and the facets there. I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. So what we're going to do, we're just going to make it a little bit more extra. We're going to add that extra link right there. And this way, we're going to be creating a piece that's a little bit longer than, say, a standard necklace would be for today. But with any time you've got the Etruscan revival, they were always a bit longer necklaces. And in the Victorian era, you had a lot of necklaces that were long and draped over clothing. And especially when you go back far enough to the true Etruscan time period, things that were super long were be draping over long garments that were, toga-like in nature. So you're really not hurting then. It doesn't look bad. The more, the merrier. Okay, and this jump ring will be what your lobster claw closes on. So, and I forgot the final little, because whenever you're using chain reaction, the chain reaction holes are a little smaller than many other links. So you want to make sure that you put a small little 4mm jump ring in there. That's your starting point. Then here is your actual closure jump ring for your lobster claw right there. And there we go. What we're going to do is just repeat all of that on the other side. Now once you've got the other side worked up, you want to add the lobster claw. So once again, another 4mm jump ring. Open side to side. Carefully put on the lobster claw. And, well, you might be thinking, we're done, but we're not. I'm going to add a little bit more chain reaction to this. And the reason behind that is Etruscan jewelry always went a bit more. That look of a bit, just that bit more extra. And we're going to make sure we recreate that. So, once again, open up your jump ring. Now, you're going to want to make sure everything's lined up properly. So in this case, we've got our jump ring center in the middle with our focal. We've got that jump ring lined up there. And we have it right there. So, okay. Got our chain reaction. Make sure you got it on the end there. And we're going to hook it onto the gold bead link here. So, you can see it there. Make sure it's lined up. It's hanging properly on the lower portion of it. And now we're going to want to bring it all the way up to here. So once again, jump ring. Open side to side. Put our chain reaction on there. And we carefully put it on the bottom of that link right there. And there you go. We're going to go ahead and repeat that on the other side. Now, once you've got both sides on, you have something that looks like this. But we're not done yet. We've got to make some earrings to go along with this. So, one of the things we want to first do is go ahead and make sure we have cut 2 pieces of the small memory wire. Make sure to use your memory wire cutters. You can't use anything else. If you do, you're going to destroy your other cutters. So make sure you use your memory wire cutters. And then because you're using memory wire, make sure to be using one of your bail making pliers. And we're going to go ahead and make sure which side I have our good loops. So start here, roll it inward. It's going to be close enough, but if you want to bend it a little bit past, that's fine. And then just get your chain nose and fix that. And you've got first start. So, I want to make sure you go ahead and do that on the other one. Want to have both pieces all ready to go, because once the earrings start going, they're going to go very, very, very fast. Let me make sure that's just a bit more. So once you got both your pieces of memory wire ready to go, you're going to make sure your nail pins here are threaded through your beads. Trimmed. Roll back. Roll forward. There is that one. Oh, forgot to roll back. Forward. Okay. And now, to do the earrings, we're going to put on a crystal, golden star, drop, another golden star, and another golden crystal. Go ahead, make a loop going forward. Again, make the loop the way you like to make it. I'm doing that simply because my hands shake a little, and it's easier for me to control the piece. So, if you want to, you can add more dangles, but I'm going to show you very quickly why you didn't have to. Get 2 more pins. You're going to need to put that little gold bead from the bottom of the Tibet strand. Then you put the little Tibet bead there. Trim. Oh, not that close. I want to trim it a bit, but not that short. Again, bend back, bend forward. We're doing some yoga. A little wide there. Yeah. Again. Trim. Wide on that one. So the nice part is that you can always redo anything that you're not happy with. There we go. Now it's nice and neat. So what we're going to do now, get our chain nose, get our 4mm, get our jib ring right there. We're putting a little piece of chain reaction right there. And we're going to be putting a matching piece on the other side. And I've actually cut up the chain reaction to tiny little segments, but those tiny little segments is what's going to make these earrings really nice and tie them together with the necklace. As you can see here, I have that little matching piece of chain reaction. Now we need our, oh, where we are. Tiny little piece here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move some of this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing on this single piece. We're going to have our chain reaction pieces facing upwards. We have our tiny little piece here, and then we have our earring wire here. So move that little piece of snipped chain reaction out of the way. Open up the jump ring side to side. Hook it through our loop. Connect little chain reaction segment, close it up, and now we're going to do a little group of jump rings. And these group of jump rings are going to make sure that everything lines up right. So in this case, these little guys have to have a jump ring each. Now, if you'd rather not have a jump ring there, you could leave a segment of the chain reaction there, like the little round ball portion here. So if you wanted to have a little ball portion on the end. You could do that, but that does add a little bit of extra bulk near the earring wire that you might not want to have. So that's where I rather just go ahead and use a simple jump ring as our base point right there. And then we open up this jump ring and put one side of it through, see it there, then put our little Tibetan bead right through there, catch the other jump ring, and then we hook it on the earring wire, and we're done.